Welcome back to the OPL. We just saw a pretty one-sided affair between Tainted Minds picking up their victory over the Hellions. However, guys, we are ready to jump into our second best of three of the night. It is going to be the Chiefs Esports Club taking on Abyss Esports, and we'll pull the team roster up on your screen right now. So on the blue side of the rift, it is going to be the Chiefs, I believe. Maybe not. So, before we actually jump into that one, we're going to come back to it later. We're just going to have a chat for a little bit. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Before we even get into the game, I think we have to talk about the fact that, the Chiefs, they dropped maps against you. They now drop maps against Legacy. Direwolves, this seems to be a struggling Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, really. Just the last couple of weeks, it's all seemed to fall apart. I'm not really aware of anything that has prompted it. I don't think that they're playing particularly different. I think, the setup there is all the same, so I'm not really sure what's going on.
I actually think it's one of those points where you can say that the other teams definitely stepped up and caught up to the Chiefs in a sense. Obviously, Legacy has already had always had the advantage on like the micro performance just because you guys have the ability to carry from all three lanes. But your macro improved, and likewise Direwolves coming out with the same ability of having really strong micro, but then now having macro on top of it, it just kind of put them on this whole nother level.
And no secret stuff coming back from overseas this time to save them, because they had a similar split last time around, and then Swiffer came back, was that reinvigoration. This time the Chiefs don't have their superstar mid laner to come back for him. He's already playing. Yeah,
like I said, they have the setup, right? They have the same setup as they had that was successful last season, and every season before that. So yeah, really, I've got no idea.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see whether they're able to bring it back today. We have got the lineups ready, so let's get into it. The Chiefs on the blue side, Swiper in the top lane, Spooks in the jungle, Swiffer, that all-star mid laner, Radier and Ejim are their superstar bottom lane as well. And on paper, that is such a scary team. They're going to be going up against Abyss Esports. Pac-Man in the top lane. Seb is a very good jungler with Luch in the mid lane. Raid, their rookie AD carry. T-Gun is a veteran on the team and quite a beast himself. I do want to see you deadlift versus T-Gun at some point in my life, Carbon. But, moving towards this game, what are we looking towards?
I think that Raid versus Radier will be a pretty good matchup to watch. I think Raid has a fair bit of potential. He's shown a bit through this season. Radier, on the other hand, has struggled. I don't want to say significantly, but in their losses, I think he's definitely not carried the way he was.
I agree, but I actually think that the mid lane matchup is kind of even more interesting just because Swiffer is the performing member for the Chiefs right now, just because, like you said, Radier isn't stepping up, and Luch, I think, can effectively neutralize him. Not outperform him, but just completely stop him.
Yeah, I think on that point, because that's actually the counterpoint I was going to bring up, is that Luch is really good at nullifying the enemy mid laner. This guy CSs so well that by doing nothing, he pressures you into trying to keep up in CS. It's like, okay, Luch is already 20 CS up on me. It's a 3-minute mark. How did this happen?
Does Choo Choo's hate playing against him as well? Because all I've heard from OPL mid laners that we bring onto the show is like, give me anyone. Triple's great mechanically, but at least like he roams and stuff. Like Luch is just a pain in the ass, like everything.
Yeah, Swiffer is a really good roam player. That's how he plays. That's always where he's gotten success through working with the rest of his team. But Luch doesn't roam. He doesn't want to roam. He's just going to sit mid. So it doesn't matter where you go. He's going to be in the exact same spot, but he's going to have so much CS. And if you don't win the game off those roams, Luch is going to punish you heavily for it because he's going to be so far ahead.
It's hilarious because when we watch Luch in the background and Spawn, you and I have talked about this multiple times. It's like Luch continuously pushes you in. He'll challenge you for every single CS, but in doing so, he opens himself up to ganks, and the other mid laners just get so frustrated because, like, I can't do this. If I did this, I'd get ganked.
I'd get punished,
Why isn't anyone ganking him? And then he goes and he takes your Raptors, and you just get super frustrated.
And, to his credit, he does have a very good jungler in his back pocket. Seb has been someone that's floated around for a while and only seems to be getting better. Two of the better pathing junglers, not really skirmish-oriented, but, they just want to control the map and hold it down for their lanes coming into this matchup.
I think Spooks definitely is. He's definitely looking to shadow his strong lanes. I think that's when Spooks plays best, is when his lanes gets ahead and he can just shadow them, keep them alive, take control that side of the jungle, and he kind of turns the lane advantage into a map advantage, which I think is his greatest strength. Seb, on the other hand, I think is more of a ganking jungler, more of a farming jungler. I've spoken before about how he's the kind of guy, if he gets gold, he gets gold, but then he doesn't carry. That's what I've said about him all season and last split as well, was that he seems to get a lead, but he can't really do much with it. And, whether that's a limitation of his or as a team, I'm not sure.
And what's cool is kind of like speaking of this idea about getting leads and being able to execute on them. For me, looking up into the top lane for Swiper is either like amazing or he's just kind of meh. Like if he has his Alawi, it goes great for him and he's able to like do something and carry with it. But if he doesn't have one of those champions, he kind of seems not like a liability, but he's not pulling. How to say this politely?
I mean, you don't have to be
not
polite.
Tally.
He's not King James. He's just not King James up there in the top lane.
He's not King James, but look, he's very meta reliant. I think when the tank meta is in, Chiefs are all about working together as a team. That's their strength, and that's Swiper's strength. He works really well together with his team. But when the meta is put him on an island, put him on a carry, and then just pit him 1v1 against the other guy, oftentimes he does get exposed a little bit.
And is that a oceanic thing? Because I see you guys like Legacy in saying this. You'll acknowledge the meta, but then we'll do deliberate things to bust it. I mean, like, even when we were playing tank top laners, Tally, not as comfortable in that role, was like, give me a carry, I can still go off. Is it maybe the Chiefs playing too much towards a world meta, and they should just say, you know what, we as a team have got oceanic dominance through playing one style, and we do it very well. Why not continue that?
Yeah, I think, sometimes you can stretch yourself a bit thin trying to fit to the meta. You see Korea playing this and you see China playing that and you think, oh, okay, well, better rush to learn these new champs or better rush to learn this new style or whatnot. But sometimes you just need to have a look at yourself and think, okay, well, what do we do really well? We need to win this game. Korea's not playing up. It's not some LCK, not some LPL team playing next. It's us playing next. And what can we do to win this game?
All right, cool. So with that in mind, I am going to ask you, the Chiefs are in a slump. I think they actually haven't even won a Super Week game ever in the OPL. Frost, coming to you first. Is this going to buck the trend? Do the Chiefs get the W over Abyss?
I am going to go for the Chiefs, but I do think it's going to be really close. I know, Carbon, you have something to say on Abyss's record.
Yeah, well, Abyss have actually taken a game off every team so far. In their wins, sometimes are 2-0, but in every single one of their losses, whether it be to us, to Direwolves, to any other team, has always been 2-1. I'm still picking the Chiefs. I think, generally they're a better team, and I'm hoping that they can pull it together today. But I do expect Abyss to at least pull one game.
All right, cool. We'll see whether they're able to get it done. We have been notified the players are ready to get onto Summoner's Rift, so let's get into game number 1 of the Chiefs versus Abyss with Rusty and Atlas.
Thank you very much, Spawn, and we'll see whether the Super Week curse is going to be there for the Chiefs and whether the trend of Abyss, always going to 3 games without fail, is going to continue here.
Yeah, one of the big questions. Abyss, they don't go down without a fight. They usually do take you to that 3-game mark, and we do have to quickly touch on that Chiefs curse that seems to be the Super Week. Last time around, there was no Swiffer, to be fair, but this time with Swiffer, they've gone down to the Direwolves. However, last split was also Direwolves with Sin.
Yeah, so we'll see whether Abyss can put on their Sin shoes, try and take a victory here. Starting off on the red side, you can see we are into champion select as Shen taken away from Pac-Man. We've seen this one, actually. Day 1 of Super Week against Tainted Minds. Abyss did have that Shen focused away from Pac-Man, but don't let him get trundled. I think that is the big rule, and we'll see whether the Alawi is going to get through for Swiper.
Yeah, Alawi should actually just be taken off the board. I think it's Swiper's most comfortable champion at the moment. They seem to have the highest degree of success with it, so ideally you just remove it. Of course, red side Abyss have certain bans that should come with it.
Yep.
We'll see how they go.
Well, Azir banned away once again from Luch. Not wanting to first pick that away or anything like that here for the Chiefs. Probably looking for that Rek'Sai for Spooks, who does love to have control of his jungle. And we'll see, of course, the Chiefs lost to Direwolves, with Direwolves playing incredibly effective League of Legends around the map, not only in these skirmishes, which we've always known that they're strong at. Whether Abyss can get themselves to that point as well is going to be the really difficult thing, as they ban Twisted Fate on the red side second.
Yeah, which is followed up by another mid lane ban from the Chiefs, and that is an abundance of focus towards that point. I understand the bans away from Luch. The Twisted Fate is a throwback ban from Swiffer.
Yeah.
He has a lot of champions that he can play, but a Twisted Fate ban is quite specific to something they're concerned of facing off against, meaning they either know some information we don't, or they have something up their own sleeves ready to go.
And maybe it means that they're predicting something like a Rek'Sai or a Rise for first because Pac-Man wants to play Alawi.
It should actually just be like a Karma Sivir first rotation, I think, knowing they're against the Rise. But even the Jhin, parade. The Alawi was like, I know he's hovering this, but it's Pac-Man playing against Swiper.
Yeah, I know.
As a first pick goes, that would be shocking.
And look at Pac-Man's face right now. You can see there is a glimmer of laughter in those eyes. He's playing with us right now. Not going to let the Atlas
I said the bad kind
analysis.
of shocking as well, not the surprising
Yeah.
shocking. I would not like to see it first pick. Karma, T-Gun's best champion, not banned
Yeah,
because of all the
definitely.
mid lane focus. That, and if you really felt the necessity to get a mid laner with it, however, the Chiefs have already locked in Rise, so
Yeah.
Luch is safe to do as he'd please.
Well, Rek'Sai being looked at here. 10 seconds to go. Pac-Man will switch over to the Karma. This makes a lot more sense.
It was a really good first rotation from Abyss.
Yeah. Let's see what the Chiefs do decide to take away here, as of course Pac-Man was hovering that Alawi for a long time. We'll see whether that means that the Chiefs are saying, all right, we've got to get it. We've got to get it. Probably not, as Spooks can go towards anything that he wants to in the jungle at the moment. His Gragas has always been pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go towards the likes of the Gragas, maybe at least if he wants to maintain early pressure.
Yeah.
Spooks has jungle champions pretty much everywhere. He's got either Zac if he really wants to. He's played Shaco competitively once, just for the record. Just like to point that out sometimes. I think it's worth noting.
Yep.
Bit of a troll, Mr. Spooks, as he hovers a Moo.
I think a movement would be even better.
I think Abyss, as well, for what it's worth, with their first rotation, have set themselves up quite nicely. The risk, though, is that they are against a Rise. And that's the one thing you really don't want to find yourself against.
Well, Jin also got through as well, so Spooks is going to lock away the Graves. A lot of damage here already for the Chiefs. This is terrifying. And Radier, we saw him look so comfortable on the Jin in their victory over the Direwolves.
Yeah, so the Graves is good. Makes sense from Spooks. He
Yep.
wants to work around farming lanes, getting that map play going for the Chiefs, and setting them up, making winning lanes push over, like tip the balance even further into their hands. The Jin as well for Radair, one of his more competent champions at the moment. I think it's one of his safer options.
Yep.
In that you can sit back, be super long ranged, and now you've got the Graves and Rise to back you up, stand in front of you and be that brick wall team. All they're really missing now is potentially a carry from Swiper. I would say ideally a tank to stand in front of all of these members, and then Ejim to round it out. Even the Braum would make sense, but if they wanted to carry, they wanted to win lane a little bit harder, I'd say Bard.
Well, I think Bard definitely is a fantastic option here. As you can see, Orianna being locked in by Luch. I was going to say, I mean, the only champions that aren't banned away here that Luch has played are Varus, Lulu, and Gangplank. I mean, you have to dig pretty deep to get to those. Of course, Varus picked into the Azir most of the time. This time into a Rise, and Luch is going to take away the ball lady.
Yeah, he was aware. Obviously, you can play Gangplank. He's a good Gangplank player. But not only has it changed, which means you're less about keg play, you're more about dueling. That's a risk when you're playing with Abyss and they want a team fight. He also knows he's against that Rise, and Gangplank can have a bad time. Varus as well can get caught quite easily. Orianna, a decision that not many mid laners choose. Rymeister seems to be the only other person in the OPL currently, but Luch is a legacy Orianna player. It's one of his most comfortable champions, long-standing. Is that fact?
Oh my goodness, and Swiper going back to an old one as well, as the Rumble being looked at for the top side of the map. Possibly to stop Pac-Man from going towards something like a Trundle, just because they won't have a tank at all on this Chiefs roster.
I quite like what the Chiefs have put together, actually. It's a really nice stipend of range between short and long.
Yeah.
You've got the Rumble that couples with the Jin for long range engages as well. Thinking of the Rumble ultimate connecting with the Jin's W, locks them on top of it. Same thing could be said for a Rise combo. They are basically playing a style that only really the Chiefs can do, and that is super long range engage, or just to pull you around the map and utilize their damage through superior vision control and setting up for things better.
Yeah, and they'll also have control of the engagements as well. I mean, based on the fact that they do have all of that vision control just generally, Chiefs now have so much damage. If they can get anyone picked out, if they can start the fights, then my God, it's going to be terrifying. Especially if it's out of a hook. And Pac-Man is going to lock away the horse.
Entirely different this time around. I was almost expecting something closer to a Malphite to be seen, just because they've kind of gone all in that direction, Abyss. I like the Hecarim.
It's a Wombo team comp, though. Look at that.
Yeah. So, like, what Sin did was they had Rek'Sai with the Orianna. That's their effective Wombo, like a flash knockup guarantees it.
Yep.
They've got the Hecarim to follow it through, and they can use that Hecarim somewhat effectively. It's hard to actually get shockwaves on the back of a Hecarim's knockaround because, again, it is knocking them around. But with the Karma speed up for that Hecarim, they've got a strength in their own right in that direction. Now they've given themselves as a team composition options here, Abyss. Still scaling team fighting, and really good teamwork will be seen from these guys. The Chiefs, a little bit more delicate, but they're going to match with damage, if not best it, because they have damage in every single position except support, and support doesn't need it.
That's exactly right. And of course, it's really, really frightening looking at this Chiefs roster just because they'll have control of minion waves as well. I mean, not a lot of, I guess, pushing power out of the Ezreal lane, despite the fact that he does have that Karma there. Oh my goodness. Looks like the Chiefs are definitely ready for some revenge and to try and get themselves onto the board. And we want to hear from you guys. If you think that the Chiefs can break the Super Week curse, use that hashtag CHF win. Or if you think that Abyss can run off their victory against Tainted Minds and pick up a win here against the Chiefs, use that hashtag AE win. And they're going to need some of your thoughts here, I think, going into this game because it's looking frightening what the Chiefs have put together.
I think it's safe to say that the Chiefs now, off the back of 2 losses in a row against Legacy and Direwolves respectively, want to bounce back hard.
Oh, yeah.
Want to be setting the benchmark early in their game against Abyss, who have put themselves together a respectable team composition. But you're right, looking at what they're against, I would be very scared if I was Abyss in any kind of objective control scenarios.
And there's also just looking at the Chiefs and how they want to win the game as well. And we're looking at the man of the hour right now on your screen, Swiffer. And if there's ever a champion that can do just ridiculous things on his own, it's Ryze. We saw Bomb do it earlier on, despite the fact that they didn't win the game, because Hellions just seemed to struggle to do that. He was still massive in that series.
Yeah, of course. Bomb played well in game number 1. I think Carbon basically nailed it, saying they probably just tilted in the second game.
Yeah.
I mean, one big major weakness that's actually quite glaring on the side of Abyss is their ability to 1-3-1 or match that of the Chiefs. It's going to come down to if it's able to be executed upon. Chiefs will have a great time. If it's not, Abyss will be able to fight them and pick the 4-1 strategy, where they want the Hecarim in a side lane, teleporting in for a flank perhaps from base with home guards if he can get towards that level.
In a pinch, I guess Seb could almost hop in a side lane there as well on the Rek'Sai with the global presence.
Yeah, dependent on the Titanic Hydra build on Rek'Sai. Usually you'll see the split push when he has that build. I think it actually says a lot about the teams and what they want to achieve based off where they go with these items and how they play. You know, Luch wants to farm. That's always a fact. That'll never change.
Yep.
Swiffer likes roaming, so has that teleport. And we're basically seeing, to an extent, of course he's Orianna, the best of both worlds with these 2 playstyles and seeing them clash.
You can see Luch struggling to find all of the CS in that first wave. We'll see whether that affects him. Of course, we know that he does like to farm as much as possible, as Swiper is just having some fun. Popping out of his suit.
I, for one, vote to never see Swiper in top lane again if he's going to spam that emote.
I think it's cute, personally.
One of the more annoying sounds. Thankfully, we're on the Oceanic client.
Oh, God, yeah, okay.
The LPL sounds and the LCK sounds are not okay.
No. That man is loud. Swiffer now shoved underneath his turret. We'll probably be doing this a little bit, and we'll see how well he's going to be able to farm underneath.
Yeah, surprisingly good lane control the Orianna does have early. And Swiffer will start to get kill threat more and more as he stacks up those levels and his passive. Luch can play around those cooldowns.
Right now we can see Raiden T-Gun pretty comfortable at the moment as Seb knows exactly where Spooks is. I believe got around here relatively unnoticed. Throws out a Prey Seeker, so Spook says, all right, well, I'll just go to my bottom side jungle, we'll be fine.
That was a bit awkward, honestly. But
yeah.
Seb, right place, right time, able to see him at least with the tremor sensor, so Luch backed away appropriately. It looked like they didn't want to fight it. They just wanted to maintain that vision. And it was mentioned again on the analyst desk, Seb, very good pathing jungler for ganks, whereas Spooks is a good pathing jungler for pressure, to counter gank perhaps, or to work around the map more importantly. Secure objectives. Interesting to watch these 2 collide because Spooks wants to keep tabs on Seb, and Seb wants to hide himself away and get ganks off.
Well, at the moment, Spooks knows exactly where he is. We're going relatively toe-to-toe. Hook barely misses T-Gun, who speeds himself up out of the way. The ward is going to reveal the rest of the Chiefs. Raid doing okay here on his own. Couple of CS in the lead at the moment. There's Luch just farming things out, and Swiper in the 1v1 scenario, burning Pac-Man down.
Yeah, Hecarim's early laning phase is not too great. And it's not one of the better things that you do have as a pony. Needs to be quite cautious, honestly, in this lane. Rumble does have a lot of poke.
And this Harpoon's doing work here under the turret. Pac-Man will probably have to use that teleport to get back up here.
It's the whole resourceless problem that you run into when you're playing Hecarim against Rumble. Rumble can spam his spells. Yes, he does overload, but it doesn't mean it costs mana. And he can continue to do that once it ends. Hecarim has really high windows for trading in terms of cooldown.
Scrap Shield would be very useful for that as well.
Yeah, of course. And the sustain's not too evident for a Hecarim this early in the game either.
You see Luch grabs himself the first blue buff here as well, so set up for success here in the mid lane for the Orianna.
Yeah, they also saw it, so the Chiefs are able to respond accordingly. Swiffer gets himself a free recall in. He'll be scaling up in strength. That is one advantage that he does have that is entirely missing on the side of Abyss, that mid lane teleport.
Exactly right. Well, for the next few minutes, it is going to be on cooldown, so maybe some respite for Abyss. Over Pac-Man's without his. Swiper wandered back up the lane, going for the dash cannon first off. Kindle Jam already in his back pocket.
Right now, Seb's actually got his eye in on a potential gank.
Skips the wards here at the same time as now Pac-Man looking to try and push Swiper back. Does so effectively. He's still got the flash. Uses it now. Seb gets the knock up. It's a lot of damage onto the Rumble, who's able to turn it around quite effectively. However, Seb isn't the one he's going to be laning against, and Pac-Man maybe now with some control.
Yeah, Pac-Man definitely has some control. We'll see how he plays it out, because once again, a level 5 Hecarim can't really push Swiper out, who does have potions, has got a shop in, will be perfectly fine. And of course, that pink ward will be there and very much useful for a later date.
Yeah, we're going to go down there for Pac-Man. We'll see whether Seb is going to be able to clear out that pink in time as the hook lands towards the bottom side. Raid going to get flayed back after taking the flourish. The ignites there. Radiant needs one auto attack, but oh my goodness, not quite enough as T-Gun gets the exhaust in on time. Raid played that out pretty nicely to survive.
Spook's actually here.
Oh god, Raid caught shopping! And it is going to be Spooks. Oh no! Not quite able to lock it down. There's first blood going to Raid here with the flourish. T-Gun picking up some extra damage from the captive audience after the death. And Spooks isn't done. Looking for the red buff, but the speed up's there from T-Gun. Oh my goodness, Chilling Smite already built up, and Spooks is trying to get the work done. Seb's going to come in. T-Gun taking a fair bit of damage as the hook hits a minion. And you can see Luch, he's rotating
Orianna,
around, will
6.
be able to find his way in. The teleport's there from Swiper, could potentially answer as Spooks now might be in trouble. Shockwave onto Raider, who takes a lot of damage. Still not dead just yet, as the auto attack's going to be there from Luch, who picks up the kill. And now Seb wants another knock-up. Ejim is going to be the recipient of that one, as now Luch gets in with the slow and the dissonance. Another kill potentially, as Pac-Man's taken down Swiper on the top side of the map, under the turret. It's all going wrong for the Chiefs.
3-1 now is the scoreline. Pac-Man coming up huge on the side of that. And that was actually the Chiefs initiating that. And guess who's the roaming mid laner now? I think it's safe to say that we're looking at Luch, and somehow on the Orianna actually picks it up.
That was beautiful.
Well done from Pac-Man as well in that side lane. Honestly, I am shocked that this is how it's unfolding. Abyss are playing like the Chiefs would.
Yeah.
But this is actually a counter gank that the Chiefs put into effect, so they make the decision backfires. Raider, of course, and I am going to say this, he wasted his flash earlier on the assumption that he would get the kill. Wishes he had it towards the back end of that engage, because they stayed for far too long.
Well, still able to pick up first blood. You can see the gold not exactly representing how well that went for Abyss. It's only about 200 thanks to some CS margins available for the Chiefs.
It was actually an early lead, now closed to be basically nothing.
Yeah, precisely.
Like, mid lane actually gets a lot from this. It's a tier build from Luch. That's a greedy build, because you lose out on damage early, but you scale harder. Of course, it means he has extra mana pool, but it's interesting to see him go for that.
Well, not interesting to see him go for the Raptor Camp, because that is just Luch things, as Seb is looking to take down some vision. Spooks does a fair bit of damage, though. The longsword built up. Not too many notable items, however. They're just not quite at that tanky point just yet. Pac-Man, the Headless Horseman himself, roaming around here towards the top side. Now with a Sheen, looking to go for that first item, Trinity Force.
An aggressive build from Pac-Man. Trinity Force is a carry Hecarim item. Of course, it does give him a lot of beneficial stats, but There's usually limitations to when you'd go towards that. Honestly, I'd expect him to keep it at Sheen and go towards the Spirit Visage or a Spectre's Cal at the very least, looking at what he's against.
Yeah.
We'll see where he goes, because he might feel that he has snowballed heavily enough to continue that.
Does have the extra kill, of course. So it is going to be enough for him, but you're right. Swiper does still need to be respected. We saw the early stages working nicely for him. Is Ejim not going to find the death sentence onto T-Gun, who speeds himself up, runs away. Of course, Ejim and T-Gun have been playing against each other for a very long time. Always fun to see these guys in action.
Yeah, and it's a Cloud Drake for those wondering why nobody is looking towards it at 9 minutes into this. There's no real reason to look for it. A lot of pressure still being established, however, by the Chiefs through the river area. And for what it's worth, matched quite nicely by Abyss.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vision on the bottom side. Basically nothing at top. And that being an island, you'd look at it and say, basically, Pac-Man thinks he's snowballing. He's building to snowball. Could be good for him.
We'll see how it does end up eventuating. He has gone back. Only one component away from that Trinity Force in the Stinger.
I never thought I'd see the day where I say Pac-Man 1v1 to Swiper.
Yeah.
How things have changed in this split.
Spooks is also going to get knocked up here. Immediate teleport from Pac-Man, who wants to find the engagement. Seb's getting it turned around as Swiffer flashes on top. The shockwave's in, does manage to pick up the kill onto Spooks. So that is jungle is traded already. Pac-Man looks for the ultimate, finds it over the top as Rady is in trouble. They've closed the distance on the Jin, as now Swiffer is melting. Pac-Man just rampages through him. Massive trade for Abyss again. As, yeah, Pac-Man's just going to launch himself on top. The instant double kill comes out as Pac-Man just gallops majestically over the Jin.
He has 2 levels over Swiper. He is now 3-0-1 on this Hecarim. And Abyss Esports are now 2-7 in kills at 10 minutes in this game. They have actually started a snowball against the Chiefs. The Super Weak curse looks like it might still be there.
Certainly will. Of course, Abyss need to go to 3 games. That is generally their thing, but it looks like they're buying the first game for that one. 2,000 gold now the lead. And with a 2-0 win over the Chiefs to break that spell, that'd be pretty damn good.
Let's not count our chickens until they hatch in that respect, but 2K up this early into the first game is a positive sign for them.
Definitely is.
And it's funny because the drafting phase was definitely focusing Luch, but he still found himself 3-0-3 on what is arguably just his best champion in League of Legends anyway.
Yeah, and this is the thing, because all of these mid lane bans, and we have what Luch loves to play, we've seen it all OCS, against Swiffer's Rise, which is also terrifying. So it's almost like, well, I mean, these guys like playing these champions anyway, so it's fine. It's almost like there weren't bans.
Yeah, kind of. I also want to point out the fact that that fight was kicked off by Spooks being caught out of position thanks to Seb's ability to hide in vision.
Yeah.
Utilizing Pink Ward, spotting the Graves out, looking for vision and knocking him up. Gave Luch the inside track to beat 3-0-3 in the first place. And in a battle of junglers right now, it feels like Seb's got the team backing him up, and that's what's separating them. The teleport from Pac-Man was instant. It was actually really impressive.
Their coordination has been fantastic as Ejim going to get spotted out by the Tremor Sense, and we'll see, gets the ward in. Abyss are just going to be able to clear that one out. Not going to get caught.
Yeah, Ejim knew they were missing in that middle lane. Spooks actually hanging around, was expecting to counter gank it.
Now actually looking to move towards Swiffer here. Spooks going to make his way in. Immediate shockwave is going to get Spooks only as Swiffer taking a lot of damage. Swipe is going to teleport in as Luch cops the back end of the equalizer and the collateral damage. And that cleans up the mid lane. Gets themselves a flash as well.
Yeah, and actually a big mistake from Luch, flashing directly backwards opposed to sideways to avoid that. Gets the collateral damage from Graves, locks him down, and the Chiefs, they get themselves a pick back on the board, and that was important. Really nice positioning from Spooks this time as T-Gun's caught.
Yeah, this is not nice positioning from T-Gun as they get the pick. Deadly Flourish there, and T-Gun not long for the world as Pac-Man is coming to help out here under the turret. Raid's going to turn up as well. Chiefs running out of minions. Spooks taking a bit of damage, but that tower is not long.
Now they pressure the turret, it won't regenerate, so they can definitely get that down in a future push as everybody's going to be alive once again from Abyss to defuse that for the moment. Again, it's actually better for the Chiefs to do that. Put damage on that turret even if they don't secure it, and to go for a Drake, because it's just not worth it.
I guess the Cloud Drake at this stage. You can see Rift Herald Getting taken down right now by Abyss. He's going to go down relatively quickly. They will be able to grab this one. A lot of vision around the area as well, so understand that they can. And setting up Pac-Man for a possible split push win condition. We'll see whether the Hecarim can do the same amount of work that his Trundle often does.
I just don't really see him being able to. Chiefs were looking for them recalling. They're not going to find it. They will find Pac-Man, though. And Swiper has his ulti up in about maybe 5 seconds, a little bit longer. So he has to be careful. The pressure's being there. The map movements are definitely there from the Chiefs, and they can up that tempo as they'd like.
Yeah, pulling back that gold a lot here as well. It's only about 1,000, despite the control that Abyss did have in those first couple of fights. This is going to even things all the way out.
They are trading, though.
Yeah, bottom lane before.
So they will get themselves a turret, 4 turret potentially. Raider actually looking to defend. He's about to die in about 10 seconds, I would imagine.
Ghostblade goes
Make it
down.
5 seconds.
Raider's looking to try and get some damage down onto Raid. Nice snare comes in as Pac-Man says, "See you later, Jin," and picks up the kill relatively easily. They're going to follow that one up with a tower, and Raider a little bit out of sorts there by himself.
Yeah, I gave you 10 seconds notice. That's how out of position he was, looking to 1v2 defend the turret. There's no such thing as an AD carry defending an outer turret as a 1v2 when the rest of your team is pushing the opposite side of the map. That is a mistake from Raider. He does get punished for it. So fantastic once again from Pac-Man and the rest of Abyss to communicate that. His teleports have been on point.
Well, you can see Abyss now going to take themselves the Cloud Drake, get themselves a little bit more movement speed, assuming that it's not going to reset this whole time as Ejim looks for it with the hook, doesn't find it, just finds himself a Rek'Sai. Rest of Abyss now looking to get some work done. You can see 145 CS here for Luke, but he's going to fall down. He equalizes there as well. Tried to throw down a hula hoop just to celebrate, but it's just not happening, and the Chiefs will be able to lock down this turret.
And this is one of the big problems by going the Tia Morello Nomicon build. You actually have no survivability. You have to position yourself well, but the Chiefs' team composition does not let you do that. As a mid-range, low-mobility champion, you get completely punished when you're out of position. The Chiefs now looking towards 5-man strong mid. Pac-Man scaring them off, though.
Yeah, he's got that Trinity Force already done. You can see Swiper pinging towards the top side. They know that there's a lot of red dots up there.
You know, for what it's worth, Pac-Man is very squishy.
Yeah, true.
He does a lot of damage. He can ruin Raider's day. But if Swiffer ever gets onto him and it's not the other way around, they will kill Pac-Man. He needs items in the way of resistances pretty soon.
Well, we'll probably be coming in next. See whether he can actually get to that point, because right now the Chiefs are pushing what they feel is an advantage. You can feel it in their play that they understand that they can get things done. If they're the ones instigating this team composition, you can see by all of those ganks in the mid lane that they can make things happen.
And this is where Abyss actually look the best, is when Seb's being backed up by Luch, and they can work around as a duo. If ever they separate, it feels like Luch gets cut off through the Chiefs' rotations and actually take him down. So what they really need to do, and this is hard because their mid lane is not running teleport, Luch has that tendency to stay mid. They can't utilize the combo.
Yeah, speaking of teleport, Swiffer is on the bottom side of the map. He's got himself his TP. Chiefs can set up if they want to. Ejim waiting here to protect Radier.
He might be alright now, Pac-Man. Merc Treads and a Null Magic Mantle. That's a big Swiffer, though.
Yeah. I know, he does have a tower to help him out under here. Very strong. Swiffer's got more money than him, of course. Gets himself the passive, clears out the minion wave very nicely as Pac-Man launches himself incredibly far into the rise.
Yeah, and you can see it already. Pac-Man doesn't have control of this lane. Swiffer does, can kill him. May even look for that dive, so...
Yeah, heading down there right now.
This is why you don't go a full Trinity Force rush. Look at all the minions he's missing. He so desperately just wants them.
Yeah, it was just one Rampage there as well. Would have got him a lot of CS. However, he's going to at least save himself, which is a good news story.
For now, because Abyss do have to rotate to this. Pac-Man's currently being 4-man collapsed on. Swiper has the teleport, so it'll be 5 at any moment. They look like they want to fight this Abyss.
Pac-Man does at least have his health bar back, but he's going to get rune prisoned. Fantastic layering CC here from the Chiefs as Pac-Man is still alive. Swiffer takes a land to get out as the curtain call, wreaking havoc on Abyss. Swiper dash cannons his way forward. There's a nice shockwave onto Radier though, and Luch is able to pick up the kill. Thought it might be Raid there, but gets himself a shield from T-Gun. We'll see whether they can get anything more done. The tower somehow still stood there as well. So Abyss, they get the pick.
Yeah, Luch actually body blocking Pac-Man. 4 Pac-Man from Raider's ultimates also. They don't have a Drake to take, so don't be fooled. They're just going to walk towards mid lane, maybe get the turret with it. It means that Raider will actually lock down that bottom lane turret though. Sorry, Swiper will lock that down. The Chiefs will end up just trading for it, but Raider dies again. How many times are we going to see this happen?
It's 4 so far. We'll see how many. As Abyss able to take down the outer turret. Pac-Man now doing some work there towards the top side. Of course, Raid and T-Gun were trying to take that one down earlier, so we'll see whether the Trinity Force is going to be enough, and it probably will be. The outer ring will then be broken here for Abyss. We'll be able to get themselves a little bit further ahead in this gold, which is starting to get towards the 2,000 tune.
It's creeping slowly into their favor. Every single time a team fight is won and Abyss get that one team fight, they scale harder.
Yeah.
With that Orianna team composition, the Rek'Sai knocked them up. Basically now they just wait for their summoner spells if they're really going to look for a fight again. The big one's Pac-Man's teleport, and he has it. So they can still look for flanks onto out of position carries. Swiffer needs to be sitting in these side lanes. Swiper needs to be in the other. And there's a 3-man unit, Graves, Thresh, and Jhin. They're ultimately not that safe if they're walking backwards. They need to be pushing you away. And right now they are doing the right thing in terms of positioning. Maybe not ulting that one.
Yeah, that was an interesting one there from Spooks, who just collaterally damages a blue Sentinel. Luch is now going to clean that one up after it resets. You can see Swiffer now up against Pac-Man, who's got the Spectre's Cowl. Pac-Man actually looking to try and ramp up the damage here onto Swiffer before he closes distance. There's the Ghost, actually. Pac-Man looking for a nice flash, gets him out of the way of most of the damage, but it's not enough. He's got the magic resist now to withstand the rise.
Exactly. The Spectre's Cowl is there, and Swiffer doesn't have the items. The Hecarim is huge, and Pac-Man, putting on his carry shoes, is able to take out Swiffer.
And we've been singing the praises of Pac-Man for quite some time. It is really good to see him finally able to be unleashed on the OPL.
Okay, to be fair, we haven't been singing it for that long. We're definitely singing it now.
I've been singing it for a long time, Rusty.
I know you're a Pac-Man fan.
There's Luch now getting some work done here towards the bottom side. We'll see Seb waiting behind him here as well. Actually able to defend his mid laner when he's overextended farming.
Yeah, Luch is capable of being flanked on by the Chiefs. Once again, teleports from Swiffer, who was alive again, are present. The wards are being placed by Ejim and Spooks. They're trying to get things done. Don't know if they actually even want to look towards this fight, though. Abyss are pretty damn strong at the moment.
Damn right they are, and this is an Infernal Drake that will only help their scaling team comp. Take that one down.
It's unlucky for them, because the next one's another Cloud Drake.
Yeah.
If they had the same RNG as the last series, they could be 2 Infernals and maybe a Mountain strong. That's not to be. The Chiefs are still well and truly in this, but it feels like one poor fight. This could be it, actually.
Pac-Man looking for it. There's the flay. Doesn't throw the ultimate just yet. That was the teleport flank. They decided not to commit.
Yeah, they don't pull the trigger. That was a big ulti option, honestly, for Pac-Man to get in the middle of them. And remember that that can be followed by a Karma Shield, an Orianna Shield, and a Shockwave. But they were a little bit worried. I think the way that I see team fights right now between Abyss and Chiefs is if they force it too hard, they actually put themselves on top of a Rumble ulti, on top of a Jhin, Graves Burst, and a Rise who can turn it around. They do need to be pretty particular to where they pick their battles. And so they err on the side of caution this time.
Well, they do have a lead. 3,000 gold at the moment. Just not looking to throw that one away if they can avoid it. Now that they have the dragon control, I mean, there's, I guess, maybe not enough for them to get off that particular engagement. Didn't have the minion wave in their control in the mid lane.
They didn't have vision past neutral ground either. Trying to establish it is difficult against Spooks and Ejim, who again are so capable of controlling the map.
Yeah.
They need to actually fight for every inch. Spooks doesn't want to let him have it.
Well, there's the flourish as well. Seb tunneling his way out. Has himself a big command protect to help him out. Luch giving away his position, able to help his jungler.
And still no mid lane turret to break. Abyss do look their strongest when they're grouped as 4 and can let Pac-Man do work by himself. The Chiefs want a 1-3-1. They also want to utilize the pick that they have. Graves, whilst it looks like he's a frontline member, if they use any of the pick that Abyss have, it's pretty risky because a lot of it is AoE lockdown. That could be one of their big spells. Whereas you compare that to a Jin Graves combo, hit them with the smoke screen, they're caught.
Wow, there's the equalizer actually out of Swiper looking for a pick, but the AoE shield comes in from T-Gun, just mantras that one up, speeds everyone over it. The red carpet's not enough to get anything done.
And Karma completely diffuses that. Now, you can see the way T-Gun's posturing himself. It almost feels like he wants the engage instead. That Rumble ulti is a big cooldown now gone.
And Pac-Man as well, who answers him? He's got a Spirit Visage. It's double AP coming out of the Chiefs. They're going to need Void Staffs before they can deal with this pony.
Yeah, I think Swiper's job is not to kill Pac-Man, it's to get Raid or Luch. Most importantly, Luch. You need to be super cautious of this Orianna. He has the kills, he has the power.
Spook's coming over to the side. This able to take the short way through the jungle here to get themselves to the inner turret as Spook's possibly getting dove here. Gets himself back as Seb, curtain calls on him. Second bolt misses, third bolt hits T-Gun and Seb takes the big crit to the face, but he's going to survive. He's a tanky Rek'Sai.
Yeah, they push Abyss away, but that movement between top and mid jungle was exactly where Abyss wanted to be working. Of course, the big minion wave bottom is an issue that they need to look towards. There's also the blue buff up for Luch, so they time themselves decently enough. There's always going to be risks about the Baron being taken when you go to the bottom side of the map past the 20-minute point. So they have to be a little bit careful, Abyss. But the end result is still controlling the Chiefs around Summoner's Rift. Slow play with vision, fast play with actual rotations. Utilizing that Karma effectively, it almost feels like they're causing disarray.
However, the Chiefs have done very well to slow this game down. Try and get themselves to a point where they can call the shots. Now with a whole lot of topside vision control, you saw Ejim working his way through. Where they're working their way back to a Chiefs-style game of League of Legends, which is exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, it's 1K maybe every 2 to 5 minutes what we're seeing right now from the Chiefs. And if that continues with this trend, it does mean that Abyss gets super far ahead. But
True.
it'll be at about the 35 to 40 minute mark where a team fight is all it takes to bring it back. That's what we're seeing right now. And special mention to that Banner of Command minion against the double AP comp.
Oh, God. Yeah, good luck, guys. Watching a Ryze try and kill a Banner of Command minion is one of the most depressing things you can see in this game, I think.
I like taking Rek'Sai to counteract Banner of Commands because you can smite it. And Rek'Sai is one of the few champions that can sit in a side lane. Yeah, that's good. That's the fun fact.
Dancing Grenade working its magic here in the mid lane.
Watch the Ejim hooks though. It follows up with Jin and the lockdown on Luch, who has to be mid to low range with his damage output, is pretty dangerous.
Yeah. See, Seb was actually pushing out the top side of the map. Doesn't have the Titanic Hydra, but they do understand exactly what has to happen. Now Swiffer. Oh, will he get it? Yeah, nails it. Banner Command minion down. The wave fully pushed into that turret.
And now Seb's actually made his way back. So at the moment, they're playing with Fire Abyss. In about 10 to 20 seconds, they'll be safer. They need to actually get out before that.
Big dissonance comes in there as Luch is stunned. Dash Cannon comes in from Swiper, but maybe a little far forward as Seb now looking for the re-engage. T-Gun gets hooked. Massive last crit out of that curtain call from Radier is now Swiffer once again taken down by Pac-Man. Caught in transition.
Yeah, Pac-Man is just huge at the moment. They don't get a kill on the side of the Chiefs. Instead, it's actually the other direction. Ultimate's still available for Abyss, and they don't die. It means they have complete pressure on Summoner's Rift. There's another free Drake for them to take as the consolation after the kill onto Swiffer and the turret with it. They have stretched that gold lead now to 5,000.
This is ridiculous as Raid starts off this dragon. Vision control still around the Baron here for the Chiefs, but it's just so slow, patient game from Abyss. And this is not what we saw from them on Monday. Absolutely night and day. This was a team that was desperately trying to farm out waves. Luch always sort of like getting caught out towards the side of the map. This time, looks like they have the answers against the Chiefs.
They definitely feel like they have the answers, and most of it is through this massive Hecarim pick, who is taking out Swiffer individually in the side lanes. They had to assign Swiffer towards him. I think with the Void Staff, he's the only one that can even deal with him in any capacity. Swiper has no chance. He is so far ahead. But because of that, because there is no Swiffer with these team fights, they're missing one of the big keys to Chiefs' victory in a lot of these games. Swiffer's by no means behind. In fact, he's doing decently well. Got the farm, has kill involvement, 4 out of the 5. It's just that when it comes to the crunch of the 4-man unit, they aren't equipped well enough to just outright pick Luch.
Yeah.
Because he's got that overshield, he's got the Karma shield to boot. I think if they actually go for Mikhail's on T-Gun, it can diffuse a lot of that.
He has himself the Seraphs as well as the Command Protect. That's a lot of shielding for this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Pac-Man once again looking for Swift.
Oh my god.
That is ridiculous. With a Dead Man's Plate now built up, Pac-Man looking for him, has the ultimate to follow, does so. Nice movement there from Swiffer, but there's the gallop. Pac-Man's able to pick up yet another solo.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-Man had his bases covered even if the ultimate missed. There was a ward seeing him juke it, so he just catches him with the E. That is a kill once again onto Swiffer, now 2 and 4. And Abyss still have the teleport on that Hecarim. They send Swiper down there. I think he kills Swiper with it. This is ridiculous, the amount of control that Abyss have on Summoner's Rift entirely from their top lane member in Pac-Man.
Yeah, and Pac-Man now has 30% CDR. That Onslaught of Shadows already
He will
half
kill
done.
Swiper here. Yeah, like if Swiper overstays. That's level 17 to 13.
Jeepers. This is ridiculous. Scryingom's going to spot out this Baron attempt here by Abyss. Teleport immediately coming in. The Chiefs,
Cancelled.
They want to stop this. Yeah, the cancel comes in from Pac-Man just using his E. And he just says, yep, well, we're all fine, guys. Curtain Call comes in, and now Abyss turning onto Spooks. He takes a lot of damage, but gets onto the Lantern to get himself out. Pac-Man still looking for more. Now we'll have the ultimate back off cooldown. Gets Ejim with it. Spooks in trouble as well. True Shot Barrage, not quite enough as the Rune Prison's available. There's the red carpet from Swiper. Can they turn this one around as Pac-Man? There's the shutdown. Shockwave's massive. And the exhaust down onto Swiffer as well. They trade 3 members for the horse.
Yeah, that is now 3 people dead from the Chiefs. They actually have a minion wave sort of set up in this bottom lane. Luch should have enough damage, honestly, with Raid to pressure what is just Spooks and Raider away. There's no tanks in this Chiefs team composition, and when those members without tanks fall behind, there is nothing that they can do. That's at least the inhibitor just completely popped here.
And the perfect inhibitor as well here for Abyss, who now just want to go back and have a look again at the Baron.
I cannot say enough how impressed I am with Pac-Man's performance in this game number 1.
Yeah.
Because he is determining the pace with which they are carrying themselves on Summoner's Rift. This is not the Chiefs we're used to seeing. Does hurt to say that, though.
It certainly does. However, Abyss looking like they're playing on a whole new level for this team. Saw them yesterday able to take down their OCS rivals, so not yesterday, the day before. This is Super Week. Now, once again, it's a powerful curse. This Super Weak curse, if it is indeed happening.
What I think is like the most phenomenal aspect of this is the Pac-Man soloed Swiper to get this fed in the first place.
Yeah. And
That's-
almost has a GA, my god.
That Hecarim is actually beyond stopping. He is going to run rampant. Swiffer, Swiper, and Spooks with Raider's ultimate, maybe. I'm just assuming Raider's dead from here on out because it's a Hecarim that's 8-1.
Yeah.
They need to kill the backline of Abyss. They actually need to disregard Pac-Man and trade in these fights by killing Luch and Raid. That's their only real avenue. If they sit there and try and kill the frontliner once he has the GA in particular, good luck.
The thing was, Pac-Man, his job was to disrupt the backline anyway. All he wanted to do was create a pressure point. And this pressure point is so big.
That's the concern though, right? Like with
Yeah.
an 8,000 gold lead, he is so large that Chief's best response is actually to trade every single time they fight. Or just run away and kite back. But making that assumption against the Hecarim, it's pretty hard to do when a Karma is shielding him and speeding him up.
No, he doesn't have teleport. He's down towards this bottom lane that doesn't have an inhibitor, just wants to get these super creeps accelerated towards this turret. Not going to try and dive Nexus turrets.
And he can still stop teleports, but they've also got a big flank potentially every time he leaves lane. They start this Baron up. The Chiefs,
No
they
scrying
don't,
orb available.
yeah, they don't have vision available for it. They need to face check or they concede, and it looks like by the time they get there, it's gone anyway.
Oh, Pac-Man just off to the side, tempting them there as Luch is able to lock down the Baron. No smite necessary out of Seb. As Abyss will be able to take some purple minions into these other lanes. Pac-Man gets himself a red buff. Pats himself on the back. I mean, Hecarim with that skin looked terrifying enough just from the beginning.
Yeah, doesn't have a head or something. I don't even know what skin it is.
It's a pumpkin.
It's a pumpkin. There you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. Pumpkin can ride a horse.
Well, if you've seen Sleepy Hollow, you know.
This
Christopher
is still
Walken looks
incredible
pretty
from
threatening.
Abyss. They are actually right now over 10,000 gold ahead of the Chiefs with a Baron buff, threatening the second inhibitor of the game. Luch commands such gravity on Summoner's Rift that he's able to be a frontline threat now. And that's how you know things are going poorly against an Orianna comp.
Yeah, Deadly Flourish is going to connect on him, and that's the go button as the equalizer goes down. T-Gun immediately popped there from... Oh my god! Luch with the double kill out of nowhere. Swiper's going to go down. Triple kill for the Orianna as now Raid slowed Swiffer. Pac-Man says, yes, I want this one. And Swiffer's in trouble. Luch gets the Quadra. Radiant needs to give him the pentakill, but he's not going to. He's sitting on the fountain, and Abyss will break open the Chiefs for game number 1. A decisive win here as well, as Luch is still looking for that pentakill. They're not going to get it, but they'll get the Nexus. Now that definitely is exactly what they wanted. 13,000 gold the lead in the end for Abyss Esports. What a performance.
Yeah, pretty convincing game 1 victory from Abyss compared to Chiefs, who showed signs of life throughout their game, but it just hit a point where the Hecarim was so large that ultimately there was no response to him. He solo killed Swiper, solo killed Swiffer. I called it as well.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, he did it more than once,
Yeah.
and then managed to actually just run over the rest of that game. I think it was mostly Pac-Man, but really well-rounded from Abyss in general. Doesn't feel like the same Chiefs.
It most certainly doesn't. And I mean, there was that one turning point in the mid game where we thought that the Chiefs might be able to come back around. They barreled down the mid lane. We saw exactly what the comp wanted to do. But it just wasn't enough when the Hecarim was that big. Was it all Pac-Man?
I feel like it was just Raider too far behind.
Yeah, well, we'll see exactly what the desk thinks as we throw it to them now to break down that game.
Thanks so much, Atlas. And another super weak game and another loss for the Chiefs Esports Club. They just can't seem to get it together at the moment. You know, credit to Abyss, whereas Stu, from pretty much go to woe in that game, they just had the upper edge.
I mean, Abyss played really, really well. I think there's no two ways about it. You know, before the game, we were looking at the Chiefs kind of saying, like, okay, well, what's going wrong for the Chiefs? But I think all we can really do here is look at what went right for Abyss. I mean, Pac-Man played so well. That Rumble pick was so disrespectful. Blind picks Rumble. They're thinking, oh, Pac-Man's going to play tank. He's going to play Trundle, or he's going to play Nautilus, Maokai, something like that. Let's just pick Rumble because it counters his entire pool anyway. Pac-Man says, no, I have a pocket Hecarim, and then stomps his head in.
The beauty of it was not just winning on an individual basis as well, like you said, the Pac-Man versus Swiper matchup on that Hecarim, but also the execution of the compositions in general. Like, you have an amazing Wombo combo comp that comes out of Abyss, and then on the other side you have Chiefs that have the Rumble, they have the Jhin, they have the long-range engage, and there was never really an appropriate moment where they were laying down the equalizer alongside the Jhin ult. I think it happened maybe once that entire game, whereas the Wombo combo, yeah, it didn't necessarily, you didn't see the big 5-man shockwave into the Hecarim, but they were just winning so well on their 3v3 and their 4-1 split.
I mean, just on the comps, you have to say, I mean, I said the Rumble pick was disrespectful, but I think the comp as a whole was pretty greedy, to be honest. They have low mobility mid laner, low mobility top laner, low mobility AD carry with 0 disengage. They picked Graves and Thresh. I mean, they're asking to get run over, really. If they had played Sivir instead of Ezreal, I mean, it would have been even worse. But I mean, Karma is so good into Rumble. Hecarim is so good into low mobility champs. The Chiefs draft was just, they could not afford to get behind. And even if it was even, that game was going to be hard for them. They really needed to stomp in the lane phase.
And it did come down to execution as well, because, you know, we're talking bottom lane there. Split. Do we hit the turret? Do we hit the champions? Radiant gets picked up. They're not flashing Orianna ults at key moments. I mean, we can talk about draft all we want, but, like, this game was about execution to me. And Abyss Esports, like, when it mattered, just had the edge and the Chiefs were lacking.
Yeah, they did play really well. Luch played very well. He got that early roam off. We were talking about how Swift is this roaming player and Luch will never leave lane. Well, Luch kind of ruined our narrative in that sense because he very quickly walked down to bot, completely turned that bot dive, which was a really good play. The bot lane was actually playing very well in lane phase. Ezreal was down about 20 CS. They were getting pressured under tower. Spooks had that, the pattern Spooks gank, which is where your lane crushes the opposition and then you walk in and kill them, which, again, went really well, but Luch turns it very quickly with a very nice roam.
I just think a whole of the Abyss Esports lineup turned this one, and we're going to go to a second game after the break with the Chiefs down 0-1. Don't go anywhere, guys. In 3.5, we're going to have game 2 between Chiefs Esports Club and Abyss Esports.